Well, hello everybody. In this video, I'm going to be talking about your research paper or patrol observation paper, whichever you choose for this, police systems class. So let me go ahead and get out of the way. We're now looking at the research paper tab on your screen, and if I scroll down, let me move myself out of the way over here. There we go. Doesn't want to move. Anyway, as we look through this section, you'll see that you have an option for this course of either doing a research paper, the traditional research paper, where you look at a topic, going to write about it, and we'll talk about that in a minute, or you actually go on patrol and write about what you observed during the patrol. You're not getting away with research. You're going to have to research the department and tell us about the history of the department and a few other things. And again, we'll talk about that in a minute. No matter which option you choose, your research paper, patrol observation paper, is going to be due on the same day, and the presentation is going to be due on the same day. And you will have to present either one of these to the other students in the class here on campus, or to other people that you choose through video, or a third option is to present it to one of my face-to-face classes if you're in one of my face-to-face classes. But the dates for those will be found right here on the research paper tab, and there is actually a sign up. I'll go ahead and pull that up first, where you can sign up for your presentations sign up sheet. So I'll pull that up now. And this is a case where you simply choose. I always have an afternoon and an evening session, 4 to 6 or 6 to 8. You would simply type your name, the class, and your topic number. If you're in more than one of my classes going to present at the same time, put yourself down twice, with one course of the topic and the second course in the topic. And again, that was by simply clicking on that presentation tab. So let's go back to the research paper tab, and now we'll first talk about your traditional research paper. It's going to have to be about between 1,000 and 1,500 words. If you go over 1,500 words, I'm probably not going to say much. If you go less than 1,000, yeah, I'm probably going to. You're not going to cover the material. You just won't do it in less than 1,000 words. If you go to 4,000 or 5,000 words, I may kind of slow down in reading it. Just kind of depends. But keep it in that range as the best you can. You will have to use at least 2 academic sources other than your textbook. I encourage you to use the textbook. It is an excellent source, but you need 2 outside sources other than the textbooks. One of those 2 outside sources must be an individual who is working in the field, relevant to whatever subject. Doesn't have to be a police officer. It has to be somebody that can tell you something about it, some kind that we refer to as a subject matter expert. Now, if you do not include a personal interview on your paper will not be accepted. If your paper is not accepted, you cannot pass this class, because in order to pass the course, you must write a paper and present it to the class, or present it using an alternative method. That is a hard course requirement. I've had a student who had an A average in one of my classes before, who refused to do a proper, actually refused to present his paper. He wrote a paper, good paper, but he didn't want to present it, and he failed the class. Didn't seem to bother him. Mom and Dad were paying for the course, that kind of thing. So just keep that in mind. You do have to present it. Your paper, I've got templates for you to use. Your paper should define the topic. I don't want a textbook definition. I want kind of what it means. I mean, what is stop and frisk? What is, what is kind of the basis with police use in the internet? What do they do with the internet? Things like that. You want to relate the history of this topic. How long has it been going on? Whatever. Give me some type of history of the topic. Discuss the current state. Where are we at today? And then any controversies. There's controversies about just about everything. So talk about some controversies on your topic. And then discuss the potential for the future. This is where you're going to put your opinion on the topic in there. You want to tell us what you think can happen. Maybe you can list what other experts list, but also I want yours. And then you have to have that personal interview. Now, part of the personal interview, you got to identify the person. Sometimes they want to remain anonymous, but that doesn't mean you don't identify why they're an expert. So say you're interviewing an officer, he said, he's going to tell you some bad things about his department. I don't want you to identify. Don't identify my department. I don't want you. Okay, well, that's fine. You say, I interviewed an officer with a small department located in Brazoria County who has been an officer for 20 years who wished to remain anonymous. You're okay there, but you're going to give me something that identifies who the person is. That's very important. I need to know about the person that you're interviewing. And then you tell me what they said. Shouldn't take you too long to interview them. The biggest problem here is finding someone to interview that's willing to talk to you. It won't take more than 5 or 10 minutes to do an interview. Have your questions pre-written. Of course, they can change depending on what the person says, but have something written out. Start out with what's your name, how long you've been with the department, why are you an expert, whatever, things like that, and then talk about the topic. And then you have to do the presentation. You need to do a PowerPoint presentation. It's got to be PowerPoint. I'm going to insist on that because the college is paying for you to have the Microsoft Suite, which includes PowerPoint. So don't give me some off-brand presentation that I have difficulty viewing. Make it PowerPoint and then upload that. You would need to include at least 5 to 10 slides, not including the title or reference slide. So you need a title slide, a reference slide, and then 5 to 10 slides covering the subject matter. In the classroom, be prepared to answer questions. You will present this, and your presentation has to be about between 5 and 10 minutes. So kind of think about it. If you do a minute per slide, that would get you your 5 slides, would get you 5 minutes. If you run short of the time frame, then you're going to have to redo it. Or if you're close to the time frame and some of your fellow students will help you with questions, they can get you back over that time limit. Again, if you go 11 or 12 minutes, I'm probably not going to stop you. If you're at 20 minutes, we're probably going to stop you because we're going to kind of need to move on. So make sure you cover the material during that time frame. Again, I emphasize again, you have to present the paper in order to pass the course. Now, your topic selection, you have a choice of police in the internet, stop and frisk, effectiveness of patrol, women in policing, CompStat, civil service, community policing, DNA or CODIS, accreditation, internet fraud, tasers, racial profiling, policing domestic dispute, political error in American policing, the police agency accreditation, which is a repeat of accreditation. So actually police agency accreditation is what we want. The federal law enforcement after 9/11, police records management systems, computer-aided dispatching, latent prints or AFIS, sex offender registration, early intervention programs, eyewitness identification, police training, police unions, citizens oversight of police, zero tolerance policing, police hiring practice, solvability factors, CSI, and finally pepper spray. So choose one of those topics, and to choose the topics you'll go to this research paper topic selection, click on it, and then you will simply type your name into the slot next to where you want. So you just click on that as soon as it comes up, and you just type your name right there. That's all you need to do. Now, this works in Chrome. It may not work in others. It doesn't seem to work in Android. It wasn't working at one time in Firefox. That may have been fixed. But if it doesn't work, pick out 3 topics with your first choice first and list them and send me an email. And what I will do is, once I get that email, I'll go in and type your name in the first available one that you selected. So now let's talk about the paper. Well, the paper has to be written in the APA format, and you need to use the template that is provided. Here's the template. To save this template, you simply right-click on the template and then hit Save Link As, Save Target As, whatever your browser list, and save it someplace where you can get it. Then open the template, write your paper, and save it with your name. Don't save it with the template name, and then submit that through Blackboard. So let's kind of look at these other things we've got. I've got a research paper checklist. I think that's this first one right here. So when you pull this up, it's just things that you've got to make sure that are there. You need a proper title page. You need an introductory paragraph with including a thesis statement. You need to use paragraph headings. Using the template, they'll be there. You need to include inline citations. You need to include a concluding paragraph, and the title for that paragraph needs to be conclusion. And then you need a properly formatted research paper, reference page, with the properly formatted citations. So this is the area that gets most people right here. They simply take the web page that they've got their information on and paste it in there as their reference. That's not how you do it. If you're not sure how to do it, look at the APA video that I've got on the introductory page. Do some research on the internet. They'll show you how to do it properly. Actually, in Word, you can set Word up to fill the blanks properly. Now, the next thing you need to do, you make sure you've got information in each one of the topic areas. They're listed here. Check them off. Miscellaneous, make sure it's in the proper, you've got the proper number of words, that you utilized at least 2 academic sources other than your book, and that one source was a personal interview. So you've got to make sure you do that. That statement on there is gone. You have to have it. There's no point reduction. The paper will not be accepted. So I will correct that before the semester starts. Okay, the next thing we have on there is just kind of a little thing that talks about each section. It's a sample, not really a sample page, more of a how-to. Gives you little information on each section. So just kind of read through that. It talks a little bit about the APA. It shows you, talks about inline citations and so forth in the conclusion. And it actually has a reference page that is properly formatted. So kind of look at this. If your reference page doesn't look similar to this, then it's not right, and kind of redo it. Okay, the next thing is the actual template that you use. When you download it, when this is in a Word document, not in a web browser, if you click on this section, it will highlight the whole thing, and then you type your new title. And then you click on the next section and you type your introduction. Of course, you start on the first page with your title there. Put your name, course title, the due date, and again save this with your name in it. So when I download these, I've got everybody's name, and I don't just have a bunch of template research paper type things. So that kind of covers what we're looking at for the traditional research paper. The big thing you need to do is to work on getting the interview done in a timely manner, because that usually causes people more headaches than anything. Is kind of delaying finding someone to interview. The interview itself doesn't take long. It's finding the right person to interview. So if you choose to do the patrol observation paper, this is where you're going to do a ride-along, and you've got to ride for a minimum of 4 hours with a patrol officer working for either a municipal or sheriff's office. Nothing against colleges and school district police departments. They're just not the same volume of activity normally, which is good, but for this particular case, I want you to work either with the sheriff's department or with a city police department. You may choose any agency that you wish. However, if you choose an agency, you may not choose an agency that you currently work for or have worked for in the past. So if you're a current officer, I encourage you to do a ride-along, but ride along with a different agency. You're going to look at how they're different than what you're used to. I've done a couple ride-alongs with other agencies during my career, and it was interesting. I rode along with Santa Fe when I moved to Santa Fe, kind of a very rural department, particularly at the time. That was 26 years ago. And then when I was at a conference with somebody else taking a polygraph, the licensing exam for the polygraph, I had 2 days with not much to do, so I did a ride along with the Corpus Christi Police Department. And that was real interesting down there. They're very similar to Galveston, but their senior patrolmen are actually, they hold the rank of sergeant. So I rode with a sergeant, but he had no supervisory responsibility. Their first line supervisors were lieutenants. That was a little different, but other than that, it was they were pretty much the same. It was still interesting to do. So again, if you're an officer, you can ride with somebody, but it has to be with somebody else. In addition to writing about your observation, you will be required to do some research and write about the department, and also write a little bit about the officer you're riding with. So for the department, you will be required to research their organization, try to get the organizational chart, some of their history, whatever you can come up with, their hiring process, and if you can get pay scale. Most of the time you can get that on their department's webpage, or by calling the agency, or by calling human resources at the city. Some facts that you should include the total authorized strength, the various divisions and their commanders' names, if you can get those, the minimum eligibility requirements for new hires, what type of promotion opportunities, and what process. Is it civil service? Is it just appointments by at-will type employments, like most sheriff's departments are? And the process, the patrol shift hours. Which schedule do they work? Do they work 12-hour shifts? Do they work 8-hour shifts? Or are they rotating shifts, or whatever? And then look at the crime rate. Go to the FBI's Uniform Crime Report page, the UCR page, and look for your city and see what their crime rate's been over the last few years. About the officer, what was the officer's name? How long has he been an officer? What types of assignments has he had? Which ones does he like? Does he like patrol? He's always in patrol. What are his favorite or least favorite type calls? When did he go to the police academy? Include any other words of wisdom that he may have for you. I mean, don't be overly inquisitive, but these are kind of normal conversation questions that, when you have a student riding with you on patrol, you expect them to ask these type of questions. You can do that in a real short time. It doesn't take that long. And then observation. What type of calls do you make? Well, first document the date and time and any call that y'all made, including the district, beat, zone, whatever the officers are working in, the nature of the call, what did you observe? Good chance you're going to be sitting in the patrol car if they're going inside places where things are going. Sometimes they'll have their mic on, their body cams on, and you can hear what's going on. I've had a lot of students that were able to do that. How many traffic stops did they make? Did he write tickets? Did the officer give verbal warnings and so forth? And then you'll have a conclusion. In this section, you'll kind of wrap things up, explain how your observations met with what you expected. Was it like you thought it would be? Was it completely different? Did this make you decide you never want to go into police work? Did this make you really want to go into police work? Did it make you want to go to work for this agency? If you're an officer working at one agency, did it make you want to change your jobs? I mean, it could be. And then you're going to need a reference page. Remember, this has to be in the APA format, so you'll need that reference page. You're going to reference a personal interview. So be sure to do that, because when you ask the officer about him, that is an interview. Whatever you got the information. Did you call someone to get the information from HR? Did you look at the department's webpage? Whatever you used, did you get the crime report from the UCR page? Those are all the things you'll need. And then you're going to use the required template. Here's the template that's used. Again, you'll click on the spots to put your information in. You really don't have to change many of the headings, because the headings are kind of preset here. And be sure to put information in each one, and be sure to have your works cited page. Well, that's about it for both of these papers. If you have any questions, email me. When it comes to boy, I'm having a brain problem here. When it comes to submitting your papers, you'll click on the submission reference paper or presentation, whichever one you're submitting. And when you do that, then you will simply hit the browse my computer, find the file, click on it, and it will attach it. If you have any questions, be sure to give me a call. Just hopefully not. Just make sure you follow everything. Use the checklist to make sure all the information's there, and make sure you get those interviews in, because the paper's not going to be accepted without them.